Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of my projection mapping tutorial. If you have not seen part 1, I will have a link in the description below showing you the steps that you need to use to make your trace of your home to bring into Photoshop to start making your masks. So let's just jump right into this and get started. First thing I want to do is pick a location that I want to work on. So I'm going to zoom in on the second floor window right here in the middle. Reason why I zoom in is so it's a lot easier for you to see what you're doing and you know you're putting the lines down exactly where they need to be. After you do that, you want to select a new layer. The reason why you have to select a new layer is any changes you make in Photoshop to your original layer, in this case, the trace of the house, when you go to export it, it will be saved. If you go to close the program, it will be saved. You will not be able to go back in and make changes and bring it back to its original state. It's very important that you do keep this trace in its original state, and we'll get into more of that later. So we will select a new layer. I'm going to name it now so that way it's a lot easier for me to separate and organize everything. Just helps keep everything neat for when you want to use it in your video software. So I'm just going to go center window trim. Okay, again, make sure you are on your layer for making your mask. Again, if you have it on your original layer, it will make changes to the layer, and we don't want that. So, center window trim. I will come over here and select my line tool. You want to make sure you have it on fill pixels, and then you just start drawing your lines. Very important, when you do make your lines, all your lines are intersecting with each other. Because after we make the lines, we're going to use the paint bucket to fill them in. And if they're not touching, the paint bucket could overspill onto the rest of the mask, and we don't want that as well. So we'll just keep going around till we get this completed. And back up here. Okay, if you want to make sure that your lines are touching, we will just hide the background layer. And it's a little difficult to see. I like to make my masks on transparent layers. The reason for this is my video software supports transparent layers. If your video software does not support transparent layers, then you want to make your background for your masks a black color. So I will come over now to my paint bucket, make sure I have white selected for a color, and just click and fill it in. Now you can see it's all filled in with white, so that way it can be used as my mask. Okay, I will make it so you can see the background again, and there we go. Now you can see what has been done. Again, this is only showing up on this layer right now because we have made it visible. For curves, for doing simple lines, you want to use the line tool. For this area above the window, I'm actually going to be using that as a mask as well. For that, I find it's easier to just use the pen tool and again, click points. You want to drop one point there, one point on the next corner. Then what I do is I come up, probably about the middle, drop a point, hold down your left mouse button when you do this, and you'll see that you get these little drag handles. So I will take and pull on the left handle to make the right side of the line. You can actually see the line moving. You want to try to match that as best you can with the curvature for your mask. Now as you see, it has filled it in. I did not need to select a new layer when you use a pen tool. It will automatically make the shapes for you. And to close it off, you go back to your original point. Again, click your left mouse button and hold. Pull away and you'll see once again there's handles. And same thing, you just want to keep pulling, adjusting left and right, until you get it as closely matched as you can. And now you see it's filled in. Over here on the right, it has made a new shape layer for you. When you use the pen tool, it will automatically do that for you. I only recommend using the pen tool if you're going to be making curves or just a simple four-sided square rectangular shape. If you want, you can also use your paintbrush, again, creating a new layer and painting it in. I just find it's much easier to use the pen tool and use the curved lines. Okay, I will now zoom out so we can get another look at what we're doing here. Zoom back out and pick a new location. We will go for this window over here. I will again select the line tool. Every time you use the line tool, you have to create a new layer. So we will select a new layer. I will name this Master Bedroom. Oops. Click OK. Again, make sure you're on this particular layer. And again, we will click and drag, putting the lines as close as possible on the lines that are already there from our trace. I know it's kind of a boring procedure, but these are things that you really need to do to get your masks made. Okay, we'll go around, finish this one up real quick. There we go. Again, I will hide the background layer, grab my paint bucket, click inside it, and once again you see it has now created another mask. So that's really all there is to doing your masks. You just want to proceed until you get everything that you want for a mask, for anywhere that you want the projection to land, on all your marks that you used for your trace. As you can see on my trace, I actually have all these blue lines right in here. The reason I put those there is if I want to project a video in a spot where there's not a mask or a rectangular shape already made, they're just there for reference points. You don't have to trace these out when you're making your masks. Again, it's just for reference points. The next step will be showing you how to export. I'll give you a minute to get all your masks made, and when you're ready to export, just follow along. Okay, so now we're ready to save and export our layers. For that, you want to go to File, scroll down to Scripts, there we go. Go over to Export Layers to Files. You want to click on that, and then you want to choose your file type. You also want to select Visible Layers Only. What that will do is anything that you have with the visual eye showing over here will be exported as a file. You can actually deselect your back layer. Oops, hold on, let me cancel this for a moment. You can deselect your back layer because you don't really need to export that file again as long as you haven't made changes to it. So let's do that again. File, Scripts, Export Layers to Files. I like to export mine in PNG. Once again, the reason for doing that is it will actually let me have the transparent layers. My video software allows it. If your video software doesn't allow transparent layers to be used, you want to export as a JPEG. Okay, you select transparency. you want to deselect trim layers. The reason why you do that is you want everything to be at the same resolution. If you trim the layers, what it will do is every mask that you made, it will trim everything else around it, and it just won't work right. It will not line up properly. You have to play with it and fight with it too much to get everything to line up at a later time. So deselect trim layers, keep transparency selected, and then click run. When you click run, you can actually see over here on the right, it went through and it's exporting each one separately. Export layers to file was successful. Click OK. And then you go to the next step, which will be the actual video software using the layers that we have just made.